All right, so we are going to get started. This is Ernie Ramirez again with the E29 podcast, and today we are fortunate enough to have Mike Nadau, the head baseball coach at Cal State San Bernardino, and he is going to just talk baseball and sports in general with us, and hopefully we'll bring you guys some entertainment and some fun facts about baseball and Cal State San Bernardino. So, Mike, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me. This is fun.
Well, I think what I want to do first is, since you're kind of new to the area, I want to have you let everybody know a little bit about yourself and your baseball travels and how you ended up being the top Coyote.
Well, it's been a journey. Of course, playing baseball since I was 5 years old, but I grew up in Portland, Oregon, Gresham, East Side, which if people know Oregon pretty well, it's a West Side, East Side. It's kind of like Huntington Beach and San Bernardino, I guess. You know, you really get your division, but it was fun. I grew up over there on the east side of Portland, and then Reynolds High School, and then ended up going to George Fox University, where Pat Casey coached. Of course, he was at Oregon State and just retired last year, 2 years ago. But yeah, I played at George Fox for 3 years and went there and played soccer and baseball on scholarship, and it was an NAIA school back then. But Pat had me on, and then my junior year he told me, hey, if you want to play baseball further, you need to quit soccer, which was a interesting decision to make because I really love playing soccer. I feel like soccer made me a better baseball player. Mm-hmm. So I quit my junior year. He picked up the scholarship, and of course our soccer team went on to like national championship that year, the 1 year I quit. And then, but I did. Pat had me go fall and then go into the spring, and I had a great year. I probably had 20-some teams checking me out. And, we're a small NAIA school, but we were good. And I get drafted in the 17th round out of my junior year with the Baltimore Orioles and got an opportunity to play pro ball for 6 years. And it was great. It was the best decision. And, you and me might talk recruiting here in a little while, but, me choosing a small NAIA school was the best decision that I made. Mm-hmm. And I could have gone on and played. I had Oregon State, Portland State, some schools out of Arizona back then, and but I had an opportunity to go someplace where I could play and have fun and get to play soccer and baseball, mm-hmm. which was, I don't know, not too many people play multiple sports in college anymore. So I loved both of them, mm-hmm. and they gave me the opportunity to do it, and so I did it. And so did that, played, and then 99, I believe, was my last year, and that was in Chico, independent, WBL. Mm-hmm. I had my best year. Got MVP, and then I didn't get an invite back to spring training, so I said, you know what, I'm done. And decided to go back and start working. Worked for Nordstrom's, sold shoes. It was awesome. I had a bunch of buddies that are in the shoe industry, and some of them still are. And a guy gave me a job at Nordstrom selling and became a manager. And then I wanted to get my degree. I hadn't finished because, of course, I got drafted my junior year, and I had 12 credits left. I went back the year after I got drafted and went to school for the half a year just because I had to go back to spring training in February. But I had 12 credits left and did it through an internship through Nordstrom's and got done. And then once I did that, somebody asked me if I had to play for a job for Hershey Chocolate. And I'm like, well, that's weird, but it sounded cool. I'll do it. I'll go in sales. I could talk. And then it moved me to Seattle. And they said, hey, we want you to be a sales rep in Seattle, Washington. And I'm like, all right. My dad was up there, actually. So I said, my wife at the time, we just got married. We were maybe a year. I said, hey, well, you want to move to Seattle? And we did it, and we were looking around town. We were in Kent, Washington, and there was a hitting facility, batting lessons, $25. And kept driving by it for work. And you do this for a living. Sure. And I'm thinking, gosh, you know what? I've always wanted to kind of stick around baseball, but I didn't know what I was going to do. So I go in there and I start talking to him. I'm like, hey, I played pro ball, went to college, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to do some lessons. They're like, sure, you want to do some lessons? Come in, start with the young kids, mm-hmm. come in, do lessons. Did it for about 18 months. Mm-hmm. Had about 60 clients. And you know how this works. Yeah. And then I'm like, slinging chocolate or start doing hitting lessons and get into baseball. And so I was working at this facility for a while, and there was a 14U team there. And one of the dads came to me because they had 5 dads coaching this 14U team. And they're like, we can't coach him anymore. We got 5 dads. They had him since Little League, brought him up. Hey, we'll pay you some money. Would you coach this 14U team? And it's a select team. And you're doing lessons for a lot of our guys already. And I was like, yeah. And I did that. And then a guy I lived with in Bend, Oregon, he didn't play, but he played through high school and maybe played a little bit of college, but he was kind of just a coach, high school coach. Well, he got a job up at Shoreline Community College in Washington, and he moved to Seattle. And he's, Mike, I don't know, buddy. Will you want to come coach with me? And I'm like, oh, God, Seattle. I was South End. I was in Tacoma, and Shoreline's on the other side of downtown Seattle, which is you've been up there. It's not a fun drive and traffic in Seattle. So he said, hey, come up and coach with me. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be there 3 days a week, and then I'll come to the games with you on the weekend. So, well, that's when I fell in love with college baseball. I got into the JC side of it, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I built my youth program. I had by the time, 4 or 5 years into it, we had 13s, 14s, 16s, and 18s, and it was called Buzz Baseball up out of Washington. I would coach the 16s and the 18s and then run college ball. So it was just, I fell in love with the game, on a different side, which, me, how we, as coaches, we sit here and we go, God, if I knew what I knew now when I was playing, I would be so much better, because then you start looking at the game so differently. So I started coaching the youth, and then, but I knew college is what I really loved. I think that 18 to 22-year-old young man, we were making such a huge difference in his life and teaching a game at a different level to where, hey, you're going to make it to the next level or you're not, but they're polished, or what could we do as coaches to make them better grow on and off the field, which I thought was really important to me, because I grew up without my dad a lot. So it was interesting to have male father figures around us, and those guys, and Pat Casey was huge for me. I mean, huge. I was scared of him a few times, but he was a great coach. So, and I did that for a while, and then I was at Shoreline for about 4 years, and then I decided I need to get closer to home. I was traveling too much with my youth program and then having to drive up to Shoreline, so I went and took a job at University of Puget Sound, which is a Division III school in Tacoma, and did it for 1 year. Really liked it. Different player. I mean, I think all the calibers of players, but Division III kids are different. I think because they're so smart. They're very analytical. They break things down a little bit, probably too much, but they're smart. They're thinkers. Yeah. And then I got the opportunity to apply for a junior college in Pierce College, which is in Tacoma. And then I got the head coaching job there. Did it for 3 years. We won the NWAC championship after 3 years. And then Donnie Harrell. Me and Donnie were really close friends, as he was recruiting a lot of my guys from the Buzz to come play for him at UW. And Donnie Harrell, the head coach at Seattle University. And then I got the volunteer job to go up there and be at Seattle U, which I wasn't making much money at Pierce College anyway, so a volunteer job was a little less than what I was making. But, hey, I wanted to go play. I wanted to coach D1 baseball. Did that, and then I did it with Donnie for 5 years at Seattle U. We won a WAC championship, I believe, our 4th year. And then 5th year, we had a lot of injuries with a lot of our stud pitchers. We were going to be really good that year. And then I got the opportunity to come down here to Cal State San Bernardino. Associate athletic director Sean Farrell took the job as the athletic director at Cal State, and asked me if I wanted to come down and take a look at it and see if it's something I'd be interested in. And I have a 17-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son, so they were 16 and, well, what were they, 15 and 13 at the time, 12, and then me and my wife said, let's go do it. Let's take a leap of faith and go make a challenge and a change, and hey, if it doesn't work out, we'll move back. But now we've been down here for 3 years, and we love it, and our kids love it, and it's been a great journey for me through this world of baseball that we all love.
Well, I think that's a perfect word for it. I mean, listening to you, I hadn't heard the whole journey up until right now, and I'm listening, and there's so many different questions, because I think it's great to do something like this, because I enjoy having coaches in, because so many times as players you're connecting with the coach and you have so much experience in different avenues. Sometimes the players go, oh, you were out of pro baseball or you played D1, you don't understand. Well, you've gone through everything, and that's no better opportunity for a player than to have a coach with so much experience.
I think it's helps on the recruiting side of it big time, because I've coached at JC, I've coached it. I played at NAIA. I coached at Division III, and I've coached at Division II now, and then I was at Division I. So it is, and I think now as I've gone through it, you can tell the different caliber of player, where they belong, and say, hey, this is a good fit for you. I played pro ball, and I went and played NAIA baseball. I mean, I know that was 94 when I got drafted, but I always look at myself now compared to kids today, and I'm like, oh, I wasn't that good. But we had some sort of talent. There was an ability. There was a tool, which every scout looks for. What's that tool that's going to help you? And I had a couple tools that it didn't matter where I was. It was who you were and how well did you play this game, and someone's going to find you. And that's where, and me being at Cal State and as we recruit, everybody wants to go D1, which everybody should. I tell them that. Every recruiter I talk to, go D1. I think it's an awesome opportunity, but it's got to be the right fit. And are they talking to you? And, so it has helped me in the recruiting process big time.
I mean, excuse me, I think when players are looking for places to go, I think that's something that oftentimes they overlook. They get so focused on the division and they get so focused on the actual campus itself, and they don't look at how is this an opportunity for me to grow. If it's an NAIA school, then there's something positive there for me, and maybe I can move past that. And I think being at the pro level, you can probably attest to this too, that there's a lot of guys that are professional players, but a lot of them don't handle it professionally and look at it as development. And then to be a player that's going through a program like yours, there's just so many things that you can impart in them through your experience.
The mental side of baseball is the biggest thing. When I was in pro ball, I was so taken back by the high school kids that were there. Young Latin guys. That I was in the Orioles organization, which is, 75-80% it was Latin. And so when you were the one white guy running around with all the infielders, it was tough. But I always felt bad for those high school kids because, man, they didn't know what to do. You're getting thrown into a man's world at 17, 18 years old. They didn't know how to wash their clothes. They didn't know how to feed themselves. I mean, they didn't know how to manage money. I mean, I would see guys come in with their paychecks and just give it to the manager. Or they would cash it, give it to them, and they would hold their money so that they wouldn't spend it. So I think that was such a big thing for me now as I go through this process is I try to teach my guys the mental side of baseball big time because we all have talent. Every kid that you work with, every kid that we go out and we recruit, every video that I see that we get, you're talented, okay? But where are you in your head? Failure. You and me were just talking about videos and, excuse me, hitting a ball off a tee and soft dust. Well, I'm sitting with dinner last night with our, social distancing dinner with our head basketball coach, Andy Newman, and we start talking about just getting, so many videos a week. He goes, I don't want a video of a kid dribbling or shooting hoops. I want to see a guy matching up underneath, banging boards, and what can you do under pressure? And the same thing with us is what did you do in that count when there's a guy on second base with less than 2 outs or on the bump in a tight game and there's a guy on second base with you, like, can you throw strikes? Can you put the ball in play? Can I make contact? So mentality is huge, and you know it. And as we sit around and we teach the game mechanically, which we see all over the place, the mental side is what's going to take these kids to the next level.
Yeah, we had mentioned earlier that there's so many things, especially right now, which is great. There's so many things on social media and on the internet for kids to look and develop and learn and hear different things, but there's only so much physically you're going to get out of baseball. And I think one of the best things about it is that it's still a social game. And for the guys that are okay sitting and listening to their coaches or listening to older players and taking some of those mistakes that those players or those coaches may have made and trying to grow from them, I think that's one of the best parts about baseball. I mean, listening to this, we've only been here for about 30 minutes, but I've already got some things that I know about you where when I'm looking for players to send you, it helps me to know your makeup and your approach to it, because you know how that works too. Sometimes it's a personality fit. Some kids that don't want to work or they don't want to do certain things, it makes it tough to send them certain places because you know, hey, that coach is 24 hours nonstop and he thinks and eats and lives baseball. And some guys just want guys that can play and let's just roll them out there and go. And there's all different types of things. So the college experience is more than just the baseball part of it.
we're building cultures.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you'll find a baseball coach that'll sit here at the college level that doesn't say that that's a culture. It's the environment. It's the leadership. Because if we can build that culture and those guys buying into what we're trying to do, and that could be the best kid in the state to the worst kid in the state, you have to buy into what we're doing, and that's a mentality. And we'll go out and I'll see this kid that, man, this kid's super talented. Okay, well, the first thing we're doing is I'm calling coach. I want to talk to parents. I want to talk to other people. Who is the kid? Because if it's all about him, which I'm sorry, this is such an individual sport. It is it's a team, but it's how you do individually.
Right.
Well, who is that kid? Is he, is he a team guy? Is he got guys' back? Does he care? Is he a leader? Does he rally the troops, or is he an introvert and doesn't talk and just goes and plays the game? It's different, because if we have more extroverts in baseball, which is a hard sport to be that, right? But we have to communicate on the field, and we have to be able to talk. I don't care. When we cross the lines, you got to be a different person than when you're out. So understanding that part of it and buying in and being leader, I don't care if you're the freshman to the senior, lead by example, or lead with your voice, because people will follow. But if you don't talk, and you've been around those kids, and those are the hardest ones to actually get to grow. And maybe it's not until their sophomore or junior year that they come out of that shell and go, yeah, coach, you've taught me. It took me a year and a half to really find it. But I think really digging into those kids as we recruit them, and not just talking to a kid. I love getting on a phone with a kid, and the kid can just sit and ask me questions. Done.
Right.
He might not be the best player, but I guarantee that kid's going to grow, just like you said, because he's going to listen and learn. But then there's the ones that won't, because they think they're the best, and I don't need to learn. I'm just going to go do.
Well, being able to just converse socially is huge in any job. I've still, as much as we've veered into one direction with online jobs and stay-at-home jobs and things like that, I still think the ability to communicate is going to be huge forever. I don't want to be in a part of a situation where you're never doing that. When you mentioned leadership, and you might be able to expand on this with your daughter's situation, but I've had players now that were kind of, up until now things might have changed, but we're in a culture where we're early signing young players. And one of the things that I would mention to the couple of players that I've had in that position is that they're committing to your athleticism right now, but they're expecting you to come in as a leader. You're not going to come in as a normal freshman, because we've shown confidence in you and we're giving you 2 years to develop. We understand you're going to continue to work athletically, but how are you going to grow as a leader? They're expecting you to hit that field and be more mature, more poised, more in a leadership role, because you have the pressure of where am I going to play taken off of you.
Well, you mentioned my daughter, which now they're hoping that she gets 4 years to grow, because she committed as a freshman to go to Stanford. And so we weren't really all caught up in it at first. We were like, no, we're going to wait. UW, Oregon State, some bigger schools had been reaching out to Ella. And but when Stanford came, that's a different beast.
Yeah.
It's the education part of it. So when we did do this and they sat us down and we had the conversation and we talked to them, it was they brought those points up that you said to her as a freshman in high school who hadn't even played a high school softball game.
Right.
She hadn't even played a game here in California.
Right.
We moved down from Seattle December 28th. My family did. Well, January 11th, we were up sitting in Stanford. Getting to a camp, then they walked us around and then talked to us in a room and said here, and we're like, okay, this is weird. But now the softball rules changed because of this. They were going after sixth graders, and it was, I don't know how that even is possible. But you're right. It's a maturity, and girls mature quicker.
Sure.
Their athleticism is quicker. A 14-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl,
no,
way
absolutely
different.
not. Yeah, exactly.
So that was, but you're right, because I think what they do is they see her, who she is, but then it's also sitting and talking to her. They'd had a lot of conversations with coaches that she had played with, and knowing who she is and is she an extrovert. And me and her mom, probably have got our kids a little bit social, which is good for us, that we're talkers and we like to be involved and we like to be around people and communicate, which I think has helped our kids to be able to be social and to talk. And we talked to Ella about that. You need to be a leader.
Yeah.
And you were talking earlier about just ways to get kids to be leaders or communicate and be talkers. Well, we would do it before every practice, or I give words of the week. And so I maybe grab 4 or 5 guys. And so before every practice, one guy gets a word. If it's a positive word, if it's dedication, if whatever it is, relentless. And I give them the word and say, okay, give me the definition of the word. And this is all done in front of the team. And then what does the word mean to you? And so they have to get up and talk in front of their peers. And these are your peers. These are your closest 30 buddies, at least. So you're not in. But hopefully what I've done now is create an environment for them to be able to communicate on a different level, not baseball, yell and talk, but hey, you got communication class next. You have to go. You have to you got to give speeches. And I want these kids to be able to talk and get out of your shell and understand that this is family. Be comfortable with your family. And if this is your brother, sister, mom, and dad, this is easy for you.
Sure.
A little bit more tight, but all of a sudden, now guys are laughing and they're having a good time, and all of a sudden, hey, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be. Get out of my shell, be able to talk, communicate. And then all of a sudden, you and me have helped a kid when he graduates as a senior to go into a world to do an interview. Go be able to throw a resume in front of somebody and say, hey, I was a team captain on a baseball team in college, and here's my resume, and bring it. Talk to me. I can talk to anybody.
Well, I mean, on 2 levels there that we just talked about, one of the things that we've tried to instill in younger players is that there's such a short window for baseball. Even if you're one of the most successful players at the major league level, 40 is old. And then you've still got 20, 25 years of work or something else to do if you're not one of the fortunate that makes enough life-changing money for generations. So baseball is just a vehicle for you to learn what you're going to do with the rest of your life for probably 90% of the guys you come in contact with. So it puts a lot of pressure on you as a coach, like you mentioned, to develop a culture where they're going to be able to go on and be better people, be productive people. And it puts a lot of pressure as far as you, because you have to be a quality person yourself, because like you said, you are the father figure to some of those players, a big brother to some, and then to others, you're just a coach. But you have so much responsibility as far as that end, and that's a great deal of commitment from you.
When we do our recruiting spiel, especially when our parents come on campus, I want them to understand my ultimate goal is to make you a better man when you leave here than when you came. And I say that I'm going to be your dad for 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it's going to be. It's going to be me in your face a lot more than your actual dad.
Right.
So can you trust me? Can you live by my means and what I'm doing every day? I'm bringing my family around. I want you to see me and my wife interact. I want you to see me interact with my kids. I want my kids at the field. And I know they're older, but hey, I grew that way. I didn't have the father figure. I had mentors, I had some people that really I would watch and see how they would do stuff. But just like you said, these guys look at me. Who are you? I don't want my players to be afraid of me. And that's what happens at the college level. A lot of these college coaches walking around big-chested. This is who I am. Walking around with their fungo, big chew in their mouth, sunglasses. No, that's not who I want to be. It doesn't have to be stereotypical for a head baseball coach to act one way. No, we just got to, if it's successful or not, right? I want to still do it my way. And I've been super successful where I've been. Now we're just trying to build something here. 3rd year of our recruiting class, we're really just starting to build this thing, and we're seeing the right guys start to come in. We'll get there. We are going to get there, and we are going to win, but I'm still going to go after the right kids and hope that we can bring in those kids that want to help us build. Because even if they come in as a freshman and they're not the dude, they're not ready yet, those guys are going to help us build. And by the time he's a sophomore, junior, senior, it's just watching them grow as young men. And then my ultimate goal is always I want every player to invite me to their wedding. Not because I feel like I'm your best friend. That's not what it's about. But I want you to look back and say, Coach made a difference on my life of who I am personally as a baseball player, but as a man. I want to be a great man. And you know that. You and me just growing up, and I don't work. You don't work. We're around baseball. This isn't a job. We're not sitting behind a desk and manual labor. So I always tell kids, man, if you get an opportunity to coach baseball someday, I hope you do, because you're going to make a difference in kids' lives. It's not about teaching the game and go and make millions of dollars. Not what's going to happen. No. But it's about enjoying it and touching people.
And that's exactly right. It's hard to look forward to certain things when you feel like there's an obligation. But with baseball in any format, and you had mentioned earlier, you were out of the game but it didn't take a lot to pull you back in because it was always there. And I think I've met some players and some former coaches and things that they can walk away from it really easy. And it's different. Everyone's got a different way that they look at it or how they remember it. But I think when you look at it as you are a part of a chain, there's a lineage in baseball. Your story that you had mentioned, and then how our paths crossed. There's we could probably sit and find 4 or 5 other roads that we led back to people that we know, that that I know, and that's one of the neatest things about baseball is that it's always one big connection. It's just how long you're going to sit and talk and figure it out. So one of the things you touched on was trying to develop the program here at Cal State. So what do you think one of the things that you would really like to do as far as getting out and being more of a presence with the program?
I'll tell you what, it's been interesting the 3 years that we've been here. I've had more high school coaches and JC coaches give us the old, wow, we haven't seen you guys in a long time. Parnell did an awesome job.
Right.
The 21, 22 years that he was at Cal State, he built this thing. And I think, now he's up at Riverside doing a great job up there helping coach. And he's been great with me to say, hey, Mike, here's some things you might need to know or you need to help build this thing at Cal State. So I appreciate him a ton to have him as somebody around here because I'm not from California, to have somebody be able to, hey, Mike, go here, go look here. But for us to make a presence, man, with Coach James and Coach Selleck, those are my 2 assistant coaches that are here, showing face, being around, just letting people know that we are here. Because the Inland Empire is massive.
Right,
I didn't know it really until I moved here, how big it is, how many high schools are right here in our backyard. But we have a stigma. We have a bad name. People think Cal State San Bernardino, and they're like, that baseball program's been bad for a long time. And our AD and Sean Farrell talks to us a lot. It's like, we got to get over that hump. We got to do it. And it's being out there and getting coaches to trust us, listening to this. Yeah. People don't know who I am. Oh, they got a guy coaching over there from Seattle. Well, it's baseball.
Yeah.
It's baseball, man. And since do we know the game and can we teach the game? And I guarantee you we can. We love it. We have a serious passion for the game. And it's going to change, but it's not going to change overnight. It's D2 baseball. There's not a ton of funds. Right. There's not a lot of money for me to sit here, and if Parnell's listening, you know what I'm talking about. But that's us. Then we have to be really good with who we recruit and how we recruit. Getting the more local guys from Rancho, from Riverside, from Redlands, from San Bernardino to be able to want to come to us, stay at home. I mean, Cal State is not an expensive school to go to. So being able to get kids to understand that this is a good program and now you get to play in front of your parents and stay here for 4 years. What's your ultimate goal? What's your 5-year plan? Where do you want to do when you graduate from Cal State, And then have them understand that I can do this and not leave here with debt. We have a good pipeline from Washington junior colleges. I mean, that's just who we know. We have a great pipeline for us to call up there, to have those guys come down here. I think we've got 7 or 8 Washington guys. We have Arizona guys, and we have a kid from Chicago on our team. So we're recruiting, but we have to get the trust and the faith from the local people, is that this is what we're doing. This is what we're building. I mean, Fiscalini's awesome. Once you're inside the confines of Fiscalini, I love the stadium. Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff on the outside, but like we said, that's anywhere you go.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned a couple things there. One that we'd already talked about, and then one that you just touched on. And we'd talked before about how large the area is. And if you were to take one end of the Inland Empire to the other, you could go to every high school and you could find plenty of talent for all of the schools that are in our area. And all of them will be very competitive, if not top 10 schools with just the talent we have here. But for some reason, it seems to be tough for the kids because they all want to go and see those schools that they see on TV or out of state. And I don't remember, I'm older than you and you're probably in that same spot. I don't remember what it was like to be 17 and want to leave home. Yeah. Now that I'm been here for life, I love Fiscalini. Yeah. The area around it, the area inside doesn't bother me. I love it. It's memories, it's home. And there's just so much potential at that school. It's a gorgeous campus. It's a minor league facility that you have that just needs to be filled and have people come and, things will change there. And with a lot of the players that we have, they're all, I think, the type of players that need that opportunity to grow and develop and sharing the experiences that someone with your background can provide. And I really hope that a lot of them actually give it a good long look, because I think you have all the pieces to be a very successful program right there.
We do. I appreciate that, because it is fun to build. It's easy to take over a program it's won championships. That's the easy thing.
Yeah.
To take something that's at the bottom and try to build it, that I think takes a lot of courage. It's a challenge, and there's a lot of coaches that are, even when I took over Pierce. So Pierce was the worst JC in Washington, and I had people tell me, you don't want this job. Don't take that job, Mike. It's going to be a career killer. Don't go do it. And then I talked to a Pat Casey and a Donnie Harrell and people that are huge mentors in me in the baseball world. And they're like, no, you need to go prove to people you could coach. Doesn't matter where it is. Prove to people that you can coach. You'll be able to go coach wherever you want. And we go and we win. So why not take on the challenge? People are like, oh, the field's not on campus. On the fields at Fiscalini. It's out in the middle of downtown San Bernardino. Oh, this. And then, but when we get parents on campus, just like you said, they don't know. A lot of people, even probably locally, have never been on that campus. Right. It is beautiful. They're making a $90 million student center right now that's unreal, because it's such a commuter school. They want to keep the kids there. They want to try to keep them on campus a little bit more. Go to the events, go to the basketball games. Our volleyball team just won the national championship. So can people sit around and say San Bernardino is not a good school? Well, wait a minute. Volleyball just won a national championship. Our men's soccer just got 5th in the nation. Our basketball team was ranked 21st in the nation before all of a sudden this got cut off. Sean Farrell's doing an awesome job. He's finding us resources. He's getting the community to rally around him. He's bringing the alumni base back. And that's been 3 years.
Yeah.
So within 3 years that Sean's been here, we have 10 sports. We have 8 new coaches. And we won a national championship and 5th in the nation and 21st. I mean, so you can see things starting to happen at Cal State San Bernardino. So people want to look at the other D2 schools around here, and I agree, they have tradition. They've been winning. They have money. They have the finances to support them. We're going to get there. Yeah. We are going to get there, and it's a fun process. But like I said, I like the challenge. Where we last the first couple of years, we didn't end up last this year because everything was cut up short. But we have such a great group of guys that there were some series that we really wanted to play, and our guys were super excited about it, to see where we would have ended up this year because of our pitching staff was awesome. We were getting ready to get click hitting, and it was just one of those things where you see things going in the right direction, but it's only year 3. It was now it's 2.5. Now I got to go around and we recruit again for this next year, a small class. We went 27 guys, 18 guys. Hopefully this year we only have about 7 or 8. So it's starting to slowly process and get our guys that we want, and it's exciting to take on the challenge.
Yeah, I really have no doubt. I've waited for years to watch this program grow. Just kind of seeing different parts of it build, and I really, really hope that all of the kids in the area and the coaches in the area really take a look at it, because it's a very unique experience. If you've ever had an opportunity to be a part of the start of something, or to learn as you're going, that it's the people that change the culture. I mean, and you and your coaches are a great example, because you can look at something and say, well, it's not for me, but if you get enough people that believe it is, you can all go in the right direction. And I think that's where your program comes in, because you're looking for a group of players that want to be part of something new, something that develops, rather than jump in when the ride's already nice and smooth.
Yeah, it's a challenge for us when we recruit, because a kid wants to go to a winner. Sure. I get it. Yeah. How about come create a winner because you were the dude? Since we've been here, our freshmen play. Our freshmen play. And how many of you seen the D1 kickbacks that just come back because I went somewhere as a freshman and I didn't get to play, and now I don't want to? Instead of holding on and waiting for your spot, they come back because they want to play. Well, we try to tell our freshmen that every year. You're going to come in, you're going to compete for a job. I'm not telling you you're my starting shortstop. I'm not telling you you're my starting arm. I'm not telling you, but guess what? I'm going to let you compete. And all of our freshmen got to play every year. I give them the opportunity to play, earn it. But we have to build it. And I don't care if a freshman's better than a senior. Beat them out. It's competition. Competition makes you better. And the better my freshmen are, I hope my seniors are worried, because that means we're recruiting right. We're bringing in these guys in. And I want to tell the local coaches, don't push your kids away from us. I get it. I talk to people, we do it, and they're like, no, it's Cal State, we're good. When we do our camps or clinics, I mean, I think we charge like $120, $112 to come out and do our camps. Come see Fiske, come see the school, come meet the coaching staff. Don't put a stigma in your brain of who we are, of they're just, no, you don't want to go there. No, don't tell your kids that. I don't care if you think the kid should go to USC. Why not? Why not come see what we've got? Because you know what? Maybe USC isn't the right fit. We talked about that earlier. From NAIA to Division I, I've been there. We know the kids. And understanding what's the right fit for your kid. I know all of you think that your kids all need to go Division I baseball because it makes you look good. It makes your program look good. Look what I had a coach call me the other day, and he goes, "Coach, I got 18 guys on my summer program. 15 of them are Division I guys, but I got 2 or 3 guys that are still looking for a spot to play." And I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? Are you just trying to tell me how great your program is, and you're pushing these kids off to Division I, and let's see how many of those guys come back home in a year or two. That doesn't mean it's the right fit. You're just bragging about your program. How about send a guy that, no, this is the right fit for him. He's not quite there. But, man, if he went to you and got to play and do something young, do you know how many guys get drafted out of the CCAA? Our conference is one of the best conferences in Division II baseball across the country. San Diego has been awesome for us. UC San Diego, they've been doing great things for us. And they leave now. They go Division I next year. Right. But you've got Chico, you've got Cal Poly. I mean, we got Dominguez Hills, you got Sonoma, you've got San Francisco, Stanislaus. I mean, there's so many great schools in our conference, and they're getting guys drafted almost every year. Every year. And I think that's the stigma too, is that I have to go D1 to get drafted. No, you don't, boys. No, you don't. Or I got to go back to a JC to go develop to get myself to a D1 so I can get drafted.
Right.
That's not the truth either.
Well, it's interesting because you actually answered a question I was going to throw at you. But being that you coached at the youth level, high school, things like that, one of the questions that I would get all the time when I would talk about a school, well, do you think I can play there? That's up to you. I can be the conversationalist for you. I will call the coach, let him know you're going to call him, so it kind of makes it a little bit easier for you if you're a little intimidated to call him. But when you get there, you decide if you play there or not. The coach is never going to tell you, you know what, Billy, come on in. You're going to be my starting shortstop. I've never seen you play. I've only seen you on video, but you're my starting shortstop. And I think a lot of those kids are looking for that opportunity, that reassurance that I'm going to play there, and not understanding that wherever you go, even if they want you, even if the coach is constantly emailing you, in contact, they're at your games, it's not a guarantee that you are going to be there starting anything unless you earn it.
Well, recruiting, you understand, we're the biggest salesman in the world. Mm-hmm. My program is the best program. Mm-hmm. You have to come here. We are, and we try to sell it. I gotta paint this huge picture for you and your parents just to understand what we are at first, right? But you have to do your due diligence. We tell our kids that every time. When we have them on campus, we don't make our offer there. I let them drive home. Mm-hmm. Go home and have a because your drive home from that recruiting process is the best time that you are going to sit and talk to your parents. Mm-hmm. Think about that. We just spent 4 hours on campus, field, talking, academics, athletic director. We did all this stuff. Now we got to go talk. I'm calling you that night. Mm-hmm. Okay, anything come up? What do you think? Did you do your due diligence? I want you to talk to one of our players. I want you to talk to a former player. I want you to talk to parents. I want your parents to talk to parents. I want you guys to have a better understanding of just who we are. Do our freshmen play? Because there's a lot of people that'll sell this thing to you, and you're going to be my dude, and then they get there and they're like, this isn't what I was told. Right. That's where you have to find out. Don't just go off of a coach's, well, the coach loves me, he's called me, blah, blah, blah. That's, we all call you. Yeah. We all call you and we all want you, but it's just a matter of like, do they follow through with what they actually say to you? Find somebody that's honest and loyal and straightforward with you. Hey, you're going to have to come in here and compete, right? But then I also, and you mentioned something earlier, do kids make their top 5 list of colleges they want to go to, or do they make a top 20? I try to tell them, do a 20. Mm-hmm. USC, UCLA to Chaffey College, right? And then in between, right? So now if I have this top 20, what are you doing? Are you sending personal emails out to those colleges from USC all the way down? Like send that email out to those coaches with some video or whatever and make it personal. Now watch who responds to you. If you're not getting responses back from people, those people are not interested in you. And you can keep fighting. Like you said, if you want to go play, you want to go do it. But are they really interested in you? The walk-on spot, come, we'll give you a tryout in the fall, do those things. But,
Sure.
For us, it's understand who's actually talking to you and who's not. Get those coaches to be giving you a phone call. Get on campus. Do some stuff. Find the coaches that are actually giving you the love and building a relationship with you. And then, hey, can you trust those coaches?
Right. And I think that's another key, because right now, in this day, I'm saying there's so much information out there. And you find there's still a lot of parents and high school players that aren't using all of the access that they have. There's a roadmap out there for recruiting. When I'm a freshman, I need to be doing this. As a sophomore, and on and on and on. Things to write in that email to the coach. There's so many things laid out for them. And then just being able to look at schools, if for no other reason to move them off your list. You can basically tour campus online now.
Yeah.
You can look at the area. You can see if there's churches that you would want to attend. How easy would it be for my parents to get there? Is it a 4-hour drive from the airport? Is it, there's so many things that they can do to narrow down their searches. And sometimes, unfortunately, I think athletes in general tend to focus on just the sport.
I was just going to say that to you. They're not thinking of those. They don't have that checklist. They're thinking just baseball.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. And so on a normal, let's say a normal school year, what percentage do you think of time do your players actually spend at the field?
Well, NCAA rules.
Let's use that one.
We go off of our fall schedule, and you're at the field 4 days a week until we can start using our 45-day window of actual practices. So you know what? We run practice pretty much from 1:15 to almost 4 o'clock, 3:30. We have weights at 4:30 to 5:30. We do afternoon weights. We have guys that love to come. It's Fiske. So we're there. We have an office there too, so the kids can come early. Some kids will come at noon just to do their early work on their own. They'll hit, they'll take ground balls, they'll do whatever they can, but then they're gone. Then it's weights, it's school. They have the 6 to 8 class or the 8 o'clock class at night, and then of course they've got the 8 o'clock in the morning up until noon or whatever, and then they're at the field. And then of course spring it's different because you're there Tuesday through Sunday, doubleheader days. You put in a lot of time at the field. Same practice schedules. I do not run 4-hour practices. Can't do it.
Yeah.
If you're doing 4-hour practices, there's too much standing around because you don't have enough coaches to do really small groups. Right. So we run that practice. I mean, if we start our talk at 1:15, we're stretching at 1:30. And then we're out of there by 3:30, close to 4 o'clock. And that's doing our defensive sets for the day. We start our day off every day with, a base running or an offensive set and play catch, defensive, and then we hit on the field. So, but like you said earlier, it's all up to the kid. I'm going to put every tool in front of you. Every coach knows here it is. What are you going to do with it? Did you thrive off of that drill today? Did you get 100% out of it? Or did you half-ass it, and I didn't get better today? Our goal every day is to walk off that field, that time that we've spent, because you don't get a lot of it. What did you do to get better today? Did you compete? Did you beat somebody? Was I better than my competition next to me? Or did you get your butt kicked because you were a slacker today? Guess what? You just lost a job because you wanted to take a day off. And I know I just got off the tangent there, but there's not a ton of time. Right. I mean, there is. You're going to spend more time in school, and that's my preach to my recruits as they come into. 100% of you are going to get a job. 100% of you are going to get a job, even when baseball's over. So get your degree, work your butt off. We have almost a 3.2 GPA, team GPA, which is awesome for 32 to 35 guys. Right. Our goal right now is to get a 3.5 with all this online stuff. So we do study table 3 days a week right now. We do 2.5 hours where our coaches get on Zoom and we watch them sit there and study. But that's what we do. We want to make sure that they're not slacking. We want to be engaged with our guys.
Well, I think that's key too, because at any age, when you're working with either college, high school, or younger, accountability is huge. Just understanding that all the time as an adult, your work's going to be accountable. You're going to be held accountable for what you do. You did mention Fiscalini and the facility. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, I've been in there, we've walked around it before. So what are some of the visions or goals that you have for the facility itself? What would you like to see for your program?
Well, the ultimate goal is the blueprint that sits in Sean Farrell's office right now of our field on campus, which President Morales wants that field built. Mm-hmm. The last college that he was on, I think when he left it, they ended up naming the field after him. And I think President Morales maybe has 2 to 5 years left that he wants to be there. And and he's told us and Sean that he wants to build this field on campus. Okay. So it's going to happen. I'm going to say it's going to happen. Well, who knows with everything that's happened now, it might get pushed back. It's going to happen. But for me at Fiscalini, I look at it as Fiscalini is my home hotel. Mm-hmm. I don't like the shovel in the ground on campus. I want to see the bulldozers actually doing something. So don't go put some ribbon and a shovel in the ground. I want Fiscalini to be home. I really want it to say Cal State San Bernardino. Mm-hmm. And that's the hard, because I'm dealing with the city, which are awesome people, and they've been great with us. It's a relationship that we have to build, but we put a ton of money back into that field to help Fiscalini be what it is. Like, we put up the new windscreen this year with our logos. We've got our logo on the scoreboard now. We want logos on the dugouts. But the clubhouse and everything, I want it to be more home for our guys while they're there. If they are there from noon to 3, or double header days where they're from 8 until 9 o'clock at night, I want them to feel like this is a place where we can come and relax and chill. The clubhouse needs to be redone. I mean, if Parnell knows, he's probably seen it's been the same for how long. Right. You want it to be done. You want to knock some walls out. You want to make it bigger. You want to make it inviting. You want to make it so those guys could even come in there if they can't do study table during the day, that we have an area that they can just kind of sit and work and do stuff. But you've been around this game a long time, and I know you've probably been into some clubhouses. You see a D1 clubhouse. Yeah. You see a D2 clubhouse, which most D2s don't have a clubhouse. We have one at least. Mm-hmm. We have that minor league stadium, but for us to be off campus, I want it to be – we don't have the amenities of being on campus. So if we're going to be off campus, I want it to look – dialed in. Yeah. I wanted to be like these guys, and when I bring a recruit there, to say, look at this place. This has got Cal State written all over it. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's kind of interesting that you came from Seattle U, where you had a field off campus, and it was a city field, and it was a facility that you had to kind of work around the same things. And I know you were part of that progression when they took over, and watching it grow, and what you guys did up there was huge. And I would love to see that for Fiscalini. And one of the key points for that would be, it's not only going to be a home for you, but because it's a city field, it would be a really point of interest for just the city itself, because that area at one point was home to a minor league team, and there's a lot of potential there, and there's a lot of history there in that field. And I think that's something that would be huge just for the city in general, and it would be a great stamp for the college to be able to do that for the city as well. And then if you eventually move on campus, then you still have something that the city can use, and it looks the way you want it to look, and the way a really top-notch ball field should look. And I think it would be huge for both Cal State and the city to work on that together.
100%. I mean, and we sit there and we watch so many games during the summer and into early fall, from the high school teams to Pony to everybody that gets to play on it. It should be the nicest park around. It is the nicest, unless you're going over to the 66ers and playing on that, which nobody can unless you're paying a big chunk of money to do. Fiscalini should be the place for these high school, and we get a lot. The lights are awesome to play there at night. That's why we moved all of our Friday games to night games. We want to play under the lights. It's an atmosphere. To play baseball under the lights on Friday night is where it's at. Yeah. And so when we told the school we wanted to do it, it's the environment. And so for you to even take your teams out there and to be able to play in the local high schools, yes, it should be super inviting, and people want to go, we're playing at Fiskey tonight. That's what it should be. Yeah. I love it. We love it. When I get there, I'm like, all right, here we go. Yeah. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's home. So what I want to do is I want to give you an opportunity. Let's say if I'm a potential player in the area and I'm thinking of Cal State, I want to give you a chance to send out a message or say something to any players that might be watching this, and you can talk to them now.
I think the first thing that we have to say is you have to put Cal State on your list. Put us on your list. Don't be as scared. Don't think of the stigma of Cal State San Bernardino, of the baseball program, or the town of San Bernardino, because this place is beautiful. This place is beautiful, and Cal State's beautiful. The campus is beautiful. But give us a chance to come meet us. Give us an opportunity to get in your face and let me talk baseball to you. Let us talk about what we're trying to build here. Because it's baseball. Baseball needs to be fun. Baseball should not be a job. Don't feel like you're going to work. If it's going to college and I got to go to baseball at 1 o'clock. Oh my God, I don't want to do that. No, I want my guys to be the first ones there and the last ones to leave. Why? Because they just love the environment. That's the way that it's a game. Mm-hmm. It is an absolute game that should be fun for you. Are you going to get challenged? Are you going to get pushed? Are you going to be competing? Heck yeah. That's what this is about. But I want you to understand what I'm trying to do. I want to make you a great baseball player, and I think like a baseball player because I've gone through the process. I want to go to the best school. I want the best opportunity. I want to get drafted. I want to go make millions of dollars. Good. Have that in your brain, but you better go to a place that's going to give you an opportunity to do it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you an opportunity to do it. And we look at all talents. It's what I think is a good fit for us. Do we miss out on guys? Heck yeah, we miss out on guys. But that's a recruiting process, and I don't get upset about it. I do not. If I don't lose a recruit, and that was something Donnie would teach us. Mm-hmm. Donnie Harold at Seattle U. We never lose a recruit because if you didn't want to come here, it wasn't going to be a good fit anyways. Sure. So you just maybe came here because maybe you thought that you got enough money and this was going to work. No. Mm-hmm. But once you say no to us, boom, we move on. We've got our depth chart of list of each position. Mm-hmm. But man, it's Cal State's a great school. Cal State is really good academically. It's a great baseball school, but it's got so much more to it in the full environment and the whole scheme of the school itself. And you can thrive there, and you're not leaving with a ton of debt. Because a big thing, it's weird what I've recruited from Seattle U to what I come recruit. The dynamic is massive. And I would always talk to kids out of Seattle U, and they're leaving school with like $30,000 in debt, $40,000, $50,000 in debt. No, not Cal State with the financial aid packages, the grants, the Cal State grants that you can get to come to school here. We have so many kids that they're not paying anything to come to school. Yeah. And it's to get an education like that for 4 years and be first gen type of kid to come to school and get your degree and play baseball while you're doing it and have a dream that what's going to happen in 4 years. Who knows? Yeah. That's up to you. Yeah. You said it. It's totally up to you, baby. Let me give you an opportunity.
Yeah, that's amazing. Good stuff. Well, I want to thank you for your time. I know for sure I'll have you back. And we've already had hours of conversation that we haven't recorded or talked about, and I'm sure we can have more. But definitely want to thank you for coming out and hope you enjoyed it. And I want to thank our sponsor, Adam Schwartz, and his 100% Media Company. Also, Chihuahua Cerveza is one of our sponsors. So till next time, we will see you again. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.